The narrative that LeBron James controls continues. The broadcasters for LeBron James making excuses continue after LeBron had announced he wanted to retire or is thinking about retirement. That's what the story came about, not the fact that the Denver Nuggets swept or anything like that. The story became about that. And the stories continue because, well, LeBron likes to play the narrative. The broadcasters like to play the narrative for him and make excuses. So that continues. And Scottie Pippen is losing his mind talking about Michael Jordan. We'll discuss what he said. Is it true? Is he jealous? Is he just saying this to get attention? Is he just saying this because Michael Jordan's son is dating his ex-wife? So we'll discuss those two things. We'll talk about LeBron again. We already talked about how he controls the narrative. We'll talk about we already talked about the broadcasters. They like to make excuses for him. The reporters like to make excuses for him because, well, they love LeBron. They love that he says things that lean towards what they think. They like the politics that he leans towards because that's where ESPN and Disney are going towards, more political items. And that's what talk shows on ESPN are about. LeBron says all those things. People they'll think they'll get a lot of views when all they talk about on ESPN and Fox is LeBron James. So after the loss to the Denver Nuggets, LeBron talked to, he said, "Oh, I got a lot of to think about," which then he knew the reporters would then come out and say, "Oh, you're thinking about retirement and everything else." So now nobody's even talking about the Denver Nuggets and their sweep. Nobody's talking about how well they played. They're even talking about the Lakers, saying this is one of the best losing Lakers teams we have seen. What? What do you mean? Oh, they played wonderful for the 4 games and lost. Nobody has ever said that, and the only reason why that is being said is because it's LeBron James. Why do reporters and broadcasters help him with this narrative and also make excuses for him all the time? It makes no sense to me. Never understood it. Because I would think that this wouldn't get a lot of clicks and views and reading because it's LeBron, but maybe it does. Who knows? But I never understood why they said it's the best. They played phenomenal and they lost. Why don't you talk about how well the Denver Nuggets played? Let's try that story out because they deserve it. They deserve it because they did play well. They beat the Lakers. They swept them. Now they're off to the finals. So the story continues to be taken away from them, which is unfair, but it's LeBron James. If LeBron James is not on this team, they would not say this. I don't understand it. But even after the retirement, now it comes out and says LeBron has been playing with a torn tendon in his foot. And he might need to require surgery on his foot this summer, which is probably why he said he has a lot to think about because depending on how the surgery goes, will he make it back? So here's the deal. Yes, he probably did have something wrong with his foot. But the thing is, the only time we ever heard anything about his foot was he heard it on February 26th against the Dallas Mavericks. He was on the court and they claim he said, "I heard it pop," which you never hear it pop. You feel pop. So LeBron doesn't understand that. Then he came back on March 26. He revealed doctors suggested that he might need season-ending surgery at that point, but then you never heard about it again. Why did you not hear about it again? Because they started to win. They made it to the playoffs. Then they win. They beat the Warriors. They get to the Western Conference Finals. Then they got to play the Denver Nuggets. So you never heard about it. Now, if they were losing, I'm going to get to that point here in a second. If they were losing, one of two things would have happened. All you would have heard about was this foot surgery and how it's affecting LeBron and the team, or LeBron would have been done if they would have thought he wasn't going to be in the playoffs, if it wasn't going to work, and it would have been done. And all you would have heard about was that foot. Why? Because LeBron plays the narrative, he makes excuses, and the media and broadcasters and the reporters, whoever, make excuses for him as well. Yes, it's probably serious. Yes, he is going to need surgery. but we didn't really hear about it until afterwards. It wasn't fully talked about. It's not broadcasted out there. Yeah, it's probably there for us to look up. But how many of us are going to get on there and say, let's look up and see if LeBron has an injury? Let's just look up and see if there's continuum. But one, you probably would only find out that he did have a foot problem. Two, since it wasn't reported, you wouldn't know that maybe he needed season-ending surgery. But they had that locked and loaded in case they were not to make the playoffs or whenever it was over. If he would have won the championship, if they would have won the whole thing, it would have been, oh my gosh, you see the injury that LeBron played with. Oh my gosh, let's bow down to him. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how tough he is to play with that. Oh my gosh. It's the only superstar that we've done this for. And this is not the first time something like this has happened. When LeBron was first with the Lakers, they struggled. Then they started to win a little bit of games. LeBron had gotten hurt. I believe it was his thigh. He sat out a little bit. The team started to win a couple games. They started getting on a roll. He was sitting out some games, and all of a sudden, he comes back, and he put on Twitter, and he put on Instagram, dark mode, zero dark 30 mode, playoff mode. We're going to get to the playoffs, I promise. Then he doesn't play well. Then the team's not playing well. Then it's mathematically put out there that he is not going to, or the Lakers are not going to make it to the playoffs. So then once that happened, they shut him down. They said, okay, you need to be done. And then the trainer said something, and then LeBron posted after the season about how the trainer said that he should not be playing. He posted on Twitter, I want you to know how bad his injury was from the trainer. The pain he endured, along with an amazing trainer, Mike Manis. He was on the court in 6 weeks. It should have been 6 months. Unselfishly, he endured pain, pain, pain. He didn't post that. LeBron posted that. LeBron posted that with the trainer. Here's what it said. As a PT for 27 years, I've had the good fortune to work with some of the top athletes in the world. Then came LeBron. I want you all to know how bad his injury was, the pain he endured. Along with amazing trainer Mike Manis, he was on the court in 6 weeks. It should have been 6 months. Unselfishly, he endured pain, pain, pain. He did not want to let the Lakers down, the fans down, but I know what he went through. I learned about determination, the will to win, and how to get the job done. He is a force to be reckoned with. That got posted after the Lakers were done. Like the season was done. He was done. The trainer posted that. He posted it as well because they want you, LeBron wants you to feel bad for him. The media wants you to feel bad for him. They're going to control the story. They're going to control the narrative, and they want an excuse. If they would have made the playoffs that year and won a round of the playoffs, you never would have known. Never would have known. But LeBron needs a way out. He needs excuses to be made for him. And this is another one with the foot surgery. I'm not saying that part's not true. I'm not saying that he doesn't need the surgery. But what I am saying is, why we hear more about it now? Because he's done. Because they lost. They got swept. And also they want you to know this is the other story. Oh, look how well he played because with his foot. Oh my gosh. Look how well he did. And he was hurt. Kobe Bryant did it. Michael Jordan did it. All the other Hall of Famers played that way, but it wasn't this huge praise because LeBron is a baby. He's a big baby. He wants excuses. He wants to be loved by everybody. He cares what people think about him. He just plays the narrative again, and I can't wait for him to retire so I don't have to hear about the narrative about him anymore at all. The second part of this podcast is we're going to talk about Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, of course, played with Michael Jordan and the Bulls and Phil Jackson. They won titles, a lot of titles. And the debate's always been LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. And Scottie Pippen has always talked about how great Michael Jordan is and compared that. Then The Last Dance comes out. The documentary Last Dance comes out. Oh, it's approved by Michael Jordan. It's about their last season. Then it kind of goes through the whole Bulls. It goes through Michael Jordan. It shows Scottie Pippen. It shows other guys in their life. After the documentary, Scottie Pippen came out and said he didn't like the way he was portrayed. He didn't like when Michael was in his retirement, he was playing baseball. They drew up a play for Tony Kukoc. Scottie Pippen sat down, didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't like the way that was portrayed. So then he immediately starts to kind of go after Michael Jordan a little bit, kind of goes after Phil Jackson a little bit, wants to write this book and says, I'm going to tell you the truth about Michael Jordan and everything else. Very salty, very hurt, apparently, because he just didn't like the way it was portrayed, whatever it was. And then he starts to talk a little bit, but he still talked about how Michael Jordan is still better. Well, then Michael Jordan's son starts dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. Then Scottie continues to talk more openly about Michael Jordan, talked about a bunch of things. Then there was this, he was on a podcast, he was on Zoom, came out and talked about Michael Jordan not being a good basketball player, saying Michael Jordan was a horrible basketball player until he got to Chicago. Then once he got to Chicago, then Michael Jordan became a good basketball player. Now, the question is this voice altered because you look at the quality of the video and his mouth and the words? So you be the judge if you think this is true or not. Could be AI, but nobody has come out. Scottie has not come out and like denied it or anything. So it makes it seem like it's true. So we're going to talk about if Scottie Pippen has slowly lost his mind. So let's take a listen to what he had to say. If you've probably already seen it, but let's just listen to it again.
LeBron will be the greatest statistical guy to ever play the game of basketball. And there's no comparison to him. None. So does that make him the greatest player to ever play the game?
It doesn't.
I'll leave that out for debating because I don't believe that there's a great player because our game is a team game and one player can't do it. Like I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He's a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was.
They forgot who he was, according to Scottie Pippen. So the first thing he says is that LeBron is the most statistically the best player by statistics. So we're just going to read exactly what he said. The first thing he talks about is LeBron James is the best statistical player we've had, like ever. Fine. You could take that. I could sit there and say, yes, LeBron James is probably statistically you could say best, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily the best. But people are going to say stats are everything. So statistically, whatever, you could say that. But statistically, I mean, Michael Jordan has more MVPs, finals MVPs, more titles. He has more defense. He has a defensive player of the year. He has more first team defensive player. He's a better shooter. So statistically, I don't know how you go with that, but that's what he said about LeBron. Then he said this: I've seen Michael Jordan play before I came to the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was one-on-one, shooting bad shots. All of a sudden, we became a team and we started winning. Everybody forgot who he was. So to break that down, first of all, Scottie Pippen, I don't know what you were watching. He was not a horrible player, number one. So I don't know what you were talking about. Number two, the one-on-one thing, maybe. Maybe he was doing a lot of one-on-one because the teammates he had, were on cocaine. He talked about that in the documentary. Yeah, and then Phil Jackson comes in. You start doing this triangle offense and everything else. So you could talk about how maybe the team, the Chicago Bulls team, wasn't propelled to win. They didn't win right when you got there. They didn't win championships right when you got there. Scottie Pippen, you're on record talking about how Michael helped you become a better player. So I don't understand that. Then people forgot who he was. Does he not know the icon that Michael Jordan was? Does he not understand any of that? I don't get it. So he says all that because he's mad about everything else. But then like 2 minutes later says, Stacey King's podcast. He asked Scottie Pippen who would win a game between the 72-10 Chicago Bulls and the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. Pippen then said, "Come on, man, we were the greatest team ever. Had MJ not left, we probably could have won 2 or 3 more titles." Well, I thought Michael Jordan was a horrible player. So now you're saying this? Okay. The final season before Pippen joined the Bulls in 1986 and 1987, which they did not win a title until 1990, so they did not win right away when Scottie Pippen got there. Michael Jordan averaged 37.1 points per game, the most in a single season of his career. He averaged 5.2 rebounds and 4.6 assists per game, and just under 50% shooting from the field. Sounds like he's a horrible player. Horrible player. Scottie Pippen, you were mad about The Last Dance and how you're portrayed. It's hard for you. I don't understand why you're mad when that's the truth. You could come out and say you handled that wrong, which you did. You said you handled that situation wrong. Could you change it if you did? You say you might do the same thing, but you understand how you acted and how this happened, and you regret it and could have handled it differently and everything else. Cool. You didn't like how you were portrayed. Go talk to Michael Jordan about it then. You're mad that his son is dating your ex-wife. Go talk to Michael Jordan about it. Go talk to the son about it. But you can't stand there and say, like, you're just now saying things without any factual things behind it because you're mad about how maybe Michael has said something about his son dating your ex-wife, this documentary. Then you want to come out with this book where you have no factual stuff. You are just like a politician now where you're just going to yell things and have no factual evidence behind it because you're mad about things. Scottie, if Michael was that bad, and you were a team, you should have won the championships when he retired then. If you're that good. I'm just saying. And you're on fact talking about how better Michael Jordan is than LeBron James. I don't get where I understand maybe where it's coming from, but you have to put the personal stuff aside and don't flip-flop here and don't be mad about certain things in your life and then put out things without factual evidence. People can have the conversation with people about LeBron being the GOAT because they have things that they could kind of back it up with, and you start to weigh which means more, which matters more. At least there's factual things that they could say about LeBron. I will say that. I'm not going to deny that. But the stuff you're saying has no factual things behind it. You're just spewing things off to get attention because you want to sell your book. Maybe you want to do a documentary. I have no idea. You're going to spew things on podcasts so that way you get noticed more outside of Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan doesn't have social media. Can't defend himself, can't do those things. I can't wait till somebody asks Michael Jordan about this. Scottie Pippen, you're losing your mind. Maybe it's time to take a seat, pal. It's just time to take a seat and just stay away from podcasts and doing all that stuff. It's just time for you to, kind of sit there and maybe appreciate that because of Michael Jordan too, that you got some rings. So I would be more appreciative of Michael Jordan if I were you. That'll wrap up this episode. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, follow, rate on Apple and iTunes. Please get the audio version going. Check out all the other videos on the YouTube channel. Follow it. Check out all the affiliates in the description below as well. Leave a comment in the comment section down below as well. Thank you guys again for watching and or listening. This is Coach Steve. We'll see you guys next time.